famous Claude Crony once said, if you're painting in watercolor, you should always have two containers, one of which should be coffee.
Right, exactly.
There we go.
Yeah, just don't put the brush in it.
Right, and then you get a little ultramarine, burnt sienna wash.
Yeah, right.
My former teacher said one of which should be wine.
Oh, who said that?
That's in the afternoon. That's the final.
It was an evening class.
There you go.
All right, I have my value sketch here. This is a scene in California. California has different barns than certainly in New England. They don't have the hay barns like we have. They're these very low slung things. And this is actually, this is worker housing. It's right near the Salinas Valley where they grow fruit and strawberries and all that kind of stuff. A beautiful, beautiful area. I was attracted to this area. I'm going to make that red house down at the far end. I'm going to make that my focal point, or the red will help draw the viewer's eye there. I'm also, even though I've got a lot of shadow over here, I'm going to inject a little extra color into the shadow, so I'm just not putting Payne's gray or a wash of a monotone there. It's a very tranquil scene.
Ned,
So, yeah.
in the photo though,
Yep.
the focal point is more
It could be
right.
that.
If you're gonna make the red
Yeah.
house.
I want your eye to go down toward that red house. I would agree that the white face of that one barn is
Kind of,
pretty dramatic.
yeah.
Okay, so I am going to start with the sky, and I'll put a little bit of tone on. So I'm just going to put water on first, but right now I've got a little bit of blue in it, just so you can see it. In the camera.
It's a beautiful blue sky.
Yeah, it is. There's not a lot. There's so much going on down below that you really don't need. Now I'm going to cover these distant mountains, but I'm not going to bring my blue down into the major field there, that green hillside.
Okay.
Let me make a. No, so when you're painting in watercolor along a line, it's best to just put the brush right down and draw it right along the edge.
Okay.
Who was that? Ooh. Rather than kind of sneaking up to it with little tiny brush strokes. All right? There we go. Okay, and I'm also going to put, while I'm at this, I'm going to put a little bit of this same water in the road. I'm going to remind myself to save those posts because I want them to be fairly light, but they're not going to be absolute white. And there we go. All right. So I'm going to start as I've... oh, damn. Okay, good.
So you did the sky and then you did the road.
I'm going to start with a little bit of permanent rose in here.
Oh, pretty.
Leave that. And then I'm going to go into the sky with a little bit of cerulean. And be like you all know by now, because I'm painting onto a really wet piece of paper, I want the color to be pretty strong. So here we go. Cerulean and ultramarine, a little bit more ultramarine at the top, a little more cerulean as I come down.
What you're painting is like outside of the camera, what the camera's seeing.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Is that...
It's okay, Ned. I think we can really see it.
Okay. And this is called a blended wash because I'm on a slant. The colors kind of blend down. I'm not going to go right through all that pink, but below the pink I am going to throw a little bit of color on. And here's Judy's not even paying attention now. Here we go. And I am gonna just, where the water is puddling, I don't want it to stay there, so I've got a little bit of blush there. I think I like that. And now I'm gonna use that same color with the permanent rose and the two blues to make this road and the posts. And those posts are just, it's just like a placeholder to have a little bit of color on those posts. Okay, I'm gonna stop there and let you guys get your sky in. I think I've done. I feel like I need a little more color up there. I really hate going back into a wash because you can really mess things up. But I'll leave that. So think John Steinbeck, Salinas Valley.
Or possibly the screensaver on the Mac over there. That's Sonoma, I believe.
Oh, is that what it is? So,
Okay, now I can't be there to pull your arm back behind you, but don't resist the temptation to go back into the sky. You through that tree or not through?
Oh,
Well, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't, yeah, okay.
When you do the tree, though, you should make sure it goes up into the sky. So,
Oh, all
so
right.
it's not going to feel like it's constrained by that line. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I wanted to make sure it was smaller than this tree.
Yeah, but you let it go into the sky.
Into that, okay.
No, not much, but you don't want to be.
Like right on the line.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it, I see what you mean, okay. Yeah.
All right.
okay.
All right. I'm gonna move along here. What's the next one of the next lightest colors besides? So painting light to dark.
Grass
I'm
hill,
not gonna. So now what?
the grass hill.
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
The yellow.
Garage roof or
No,
garage
well, the
side.
garage roofs are pretty light, so I'll get to those. But those yellow flowers on the left side.
Yellow flowers?
What?
Where's
On the
yellow?
grass.
What is right in here?
Stripe of yellow.
Oh, there it is?
Right
In
here.
the yellow grass?
This stuff.
Oh, that, okay,
There we
gotcha.
go. Just.
Yeah.
So I'm just using pure Aureolin, running that through there irregularly. A little bit over in here. There we go. I don't know what the stuff is. And then I'm going to use my 3/4 inch brush. Jennifer, if you want to come over here, you're welcome to.
He doesn't bite.
I know, that's
I'm going to go into these. I see these purples down here as being another light tone. So I'm going to use some permanent rose and cerulean blue. I want to get it more in the bluey purple. And I'm going to use this. I'm calling it lavender, though I may be wrong about that. And there's some more down here. This stuff is really pretty. I'm sort of looking at the at the photograph, but not really. I'm not trying to get too I'm using the big brush to create some big shapes, and I want that feeling of the looseness, and I see a little bit of it. Oh, a little hint of it just below this yellow, maybe down in here, but I'm not really sure how that's going to end up. Okay, so while that's setting up,
Okay.
I'm going to add some new gamboge
So,
and ultramarine. I want to get into some things.
Your picture just went,
What happened? Why did it go sideways?
I don't know.
because you're too aggressive there with your,
Well, do I take this off, Bill? And,
Whatever it takes to swap it back around.
Okay, hold it.
Not lose it.
It's funny.
Yes, Diane.
Okay, yeah, now I go again.
Something from you.
my question.
Okay, so,
Ned,
That's what
Yeah.
we hear.
Ned, if
Yep.
you're going from light to dark, it seems very strange that the purple shapes in the bushes there, you're going
those purple shapes
dark
are,
pretty fast.
those purple shapes are light
They are.
in that foliage stuff in the front. Oh, yeah. But I don't want a hard edge, so I'm going to throw some greens in.
They're loose stripes.
Loose stripe, sure. I'm going to throw some greens in so I don't have these sharp edges down here. So this is some greens that's going up,
Around the,
kind of in and about, yeah.
around the purple, the
Yes.
lavender.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Cool.
okay, how am I doing this here? Whew.
So it's like a cerulean and a permanent.
Now I got new gamboge and ultramarine. And up in here, I'm going to let it kind of flick into that. And down here, I'm going to kind of cut into that loose stripe a little bit. I'll come back to this later, I think. Oh boy. Basically, I'm just looking and trying to make interesting patterns and interesting shapes. I'm doing some negative painting here. I'll get back to this later. And I'm going to add a little bit of raw sienna to my green here. I see more of a kind of
Earthy.
I can't speak. Yeah, earthy kind of tone, maybe a little a dirty yellow down
Oh, I can do
here.
dirty yellow.
And I'm just filling this area in. Let's knock that out, and I'll let you take a. Oh, I know. I'll do a little bit. I'm gonna put a little bit of this greenish color in front of the buildings, and I may be darkening that up later. I don't, but I just want to remember that I got green in there. Right down against the road. I'm going to put some green over here in front of this blue, in front of this red white barn. I'm going around that post. And I'm about done. Okay? So let's drop in that lavender. Get the yellows in, get some lavender in, and then a little bit of greens to sort of fill up the foreground. We'll go back into those greens later. We'll go back even into the purples later. But we're getting our initial wash in. Oh yeah, and there's a little bit of there's a little bit of green on this distant, just above the yellow. So I'm just going to put that in now while you guys are working. Okay, good, good. All right, now as we look at this and squint at it, obviously the next lightest area, and I want to get that loose stripe, that lavender color in early. The green is not particularly light, but I got that tone in. Anyway, the next lightest areas are the roofs of the barns. So I'm going to go with my. What's that? Is that on the hallway?
I have no idea.
No, it's Bill up. It's Bill up in the thing.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit of Windsor red and raw sienna. Who's calling you?
I don't know.
All right.
Looking for Anne-Marie Reardon?
Is she trying to get in?
Couldn't find the, she can't find the link to the,
Okay, well then let me, I'll send it to her again.
when you get a chance.
I'll just do it now before I
They went
start.
to my junk mail last night, so maybe she needs to check her junk mail.
Okay, well, let me just send it to her again. And and Marie, and here it goes.
Maria sent it to me, Annette, and I'm on now.
Oh, you're on now. Okay, I just sent you a
Don't
link again.
stop what you're doing.
Okay, well, I just, okay. And you can mute yourself, Anne Marie, and I'm starting on the roofs of, the roof of that first barn. All right, so I have a little bit of Windsor red and a little bit of raw sienna. I see it as a fairly, kind of a what do you call it? It's probably a rusted kind of metal roof. Okay, here we go. Ooh, let's get some more color in there. Okay, I'm going to throw this orangey color into the roof. Notice my brush is going right along that line of the eave, and then I can fill it in any which way I want. But you want to put your brush down and make that sharp line nice and straight and across.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a little more red at the top. And let those colors sort of blend in there.
It's a metal roof, right?
Metal roof, right?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And I can see a little bit of the same down here. I'm going through the pole. I'll tell you why in a minute, but well, because that pole will be dark
Right,
later on.
gotcha.
Okay, so there's that roof. While I have some reddish stuff in my brush, I'm going to get a little bit of a alizarin crimson, almost pure alizarin crimson. And I'm going to do the side of this house. I'm going to go around that window. Wow, I've got to be careful here. Can't use that big a brush. Okay, this is basically just a little mobile home, I think.
Oh, okay.
There it is. And while I have that there, I'm going to throw a little bit of light blue. And I'm going to paint.
The shadow side of it.
I'm going to paint the shadow side of this because I want the door and the window on this side. They are white, but they're in shadow. So I'm going to paint the entire side of this thing what will be the shadow color of those windows. I will eventually paint the dark red after this tone dries. So I've knocked that in there. Put a little bit of drawing there. I'm gonna put a little bit, well, I've got that. I see a thick line here and a thin line there. I'll leave it at that. And now I'm ready for the other roof.
Grayish white roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the front of the house
Cerulean
is
blue.
dark, with lights hitting.
Okay, cerulean blue, raw sienna,
This right down here.
and maybe a little bit of that red. So here we go. Don't want it to get too dark.
Yeah, actually did that, so I didn't do that.
Lost my picture.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm gonna just make that dark like he did and just make that color.
So a little bit of cerulean blue. The roof has a little bit of a sway to it.
Yeah.
So because it's an old barn, and I'll introduce a little bit more cerulean to it.
That'll be the last details on it.
So what, is that like a Windsor red?
Yes, kind of. Yeah, I guess.
All right,
Yeah, it was
close
on.
enough.
It was on there. Yep.
And then that's like a new gamboge?
No, the little bit of raw
Raw sienna?
raw sienna. Yep.
Okay.
See, I did a patched roof.
oh, it's nice.
Okay.
I love the texture on that too.
All right. Now, before. Okay, I just want to get a little bit more done, and then I'll sort of let you paint. But keep an eye, Judy. You got to stay with me here. I'm gonna do a little alizarin crimson and a little ultramarine. I just want to get some of these shadow tones.
Oh, yeah, just get them, yeah,
Get them in.
get them in.
I see. Let's see if they chunk up there. I see. I feel like a romp room. I see this. I see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I spy.
And then while I got. Trying not to make it too much like a picket fence, so I do want to try to
Make them irregular.
make it a little bit irregular.
Okay.
I want to make a little bit of a wobble on that one.
Weebles, wobbles.
Those wobbles. Yeah.
Oh, he's doing those things?
Yeah,
Just a few of them. Yeah.
those things.
Yeah, those things.
Those things.
I know. Look at how steady his hand is.
That's pretty cool.
I've got some really nice.
Well, I'm just kind of look at me, Doug. I'm just rocking.
Rock, yeah, right.
You know, so I'm not-
Said that in another lesson.
How do we do that there? Okay.
You can't have Parkinson's and do this painting.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Actually, you could have a, yeah. Well,
Well, I bet there's some painters that are so good that they, you know.
Might be.
Well, they might, if you had Parkinson's, maybe, if you were like so into a medium, you would do something that would make it so that it would handle the jiggle.
okay. Trying to create a little bit of
Okay.
action there. I'm leaving this stuff there. We'll get into these dark. Okay. So the roofs, and then a little bit of accents. That's not very hard, right?
Oh, sure.
It's easy
No,
stuff.
not a problem.
No.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly be? Exactly. Oh, that's fine. Perfect. So, can I test my paper?
All right, so I'm going to start now with, I'll talk while you guys are still painting a little bit. I'm going to do the dark sides of these buildings. The reason is I still feel that the sky, because I put so much water up there, there's a little bit of moisture at the edge, and I really don't want any green to bleed up into the sky, because that would be a mess. So I'm going to go do these, I don't don't know, are the dark sides of those white barns darker or lighter than the hillside?
They're darker
They're
than
darker,
those.
yeah. I normally wouldn't go at the next darkest one, but I gotta get into it now. So I'm going to get some raw sienna on my palette. Some ultramarine and some alizarin crimson, which is kind of my go-to. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna paint right through this telephone pole. Boom. Right along the eave there. It doesn't seem dark enough, so I'm gonna add a little more color. So I'm adding color into it while it's wet.
You said marine,
Ultramarine, raw sienna, alizarin.
alizarin.
I'm gonna need a little bit more alizarin coming in here. I told you I want to make these shadow colors luminous with a lot of different colors in them. And I'm going around my posts. Or at least this post.
If you have a post.
If you put in your post, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have one.
And now as I get out to here, come down this, and now I'm going to be, well, like that green bush is going to be darker than this shadow color, so I don't mind going into the green bush by a little bit. And sometimes in a building, right under the eaves, there's a little bit of reflected light that pops up from the grass in front. So I'm throwing a little bit of raw sienna right near the top there, letting that bleed a little bit. Now I'm going to do the dark side of that little house. And this is going to be alizarin crimson, a little bit of ultramarine blue. This will be a dark red. I'll be painting around the door. I've got a door and the window. So here we go. Make sure the lines of the window go in perspective. Make sure your verticals are absolutely vertical. And I'm putting a little bit of an accent under the eave of that house in the background. And while I'm here, I'm going to put in the dark windows. Got a little bit too much of a blob under there. Okay, gonna stop right there.
Stop while you're ahead.
Stop while I'm ahead.
Oh, those are cool purple. Do you know what color a burp is? Purple.
Purple.
So you just like let it rip with all the crud you had like on your palette?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the true psychedelic shack. Yeah.
Baby lunch shack.
Okay, so the next biggest area is this hillside. And I'm gonna cover it with water first. And then I'll be dropping the greens into it, but I wanna, wow, what brush am I gonna use? I'm using this big squirrel. And I am gonna paint around those telephone poles, which is gonna be tricky.
Oh,
Yep.
He's using a stogie brush.
Mhm. So I'm putting some water down and I'm going around the telephone poles.
because you want them to look white, is that?
Yeah, I'm gonna paint them dark, but I'm gonna have some white highlights on them. So if I mean, I can do the whole, what do you call it? Wipeout stuff. I mean, mascoid and
Chinese white.
Chinese white or.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going around that post again.
Of course, it's going through the entire hill.
Right now, are you just using plain water then?
Yeah,
Oh.
there's a little blue just left in the, yeah.
So you can see it.
I know, I can tell. No issues with that.
Plain water is.
Okay,
Coming way down to the side of the edge of the barn there.
what's that?
You're coming down around the corner
The roof of the barn.
to the edge here. I'm not.
Okay, so now with a fairly large squirrel brush, I'm gonna get a mixture of new gamboge and ultramarine. Now, I don't want to have to go back into this a lot, so I want it to be more yellow at the top. All right, here we go. Come on, yellow.
Don't crap out of me now.
Don't crap out of me now,
Don't
right?
crap out of me now, new game coach.
I thought it was interesting in this scene that the farther away hillside is darker instead of lighter.
Okay, here we go. There we go. Follow it down. I just put my brush down next to the telephone pole and then pull it away. So that I'm not sneaking up to it with little teeny strokes, because that will create a lot of little funny looks. Okay, I'm jumping around because I don't want these edges to start drying out on me. So that, pull it straight down, come on. Wow, this is a corner that's really hard. Okay, there we go.
Shit. What happened now?
Okay, this is really nail biting here.
Gripping drama.
Gripping drama. And then I'm going to use a little bit of cerulean blue. I just want to get a little dark color in here. And that new gamboge on a section here. So I get a slightly different green down in this section here. Let's pull that out there. Nope. And I'm almost done. This is a tricky one. And then I'm gonna just blot up where I get these little blooms. I don't want them to dribble down, so just touching that up. Somebody's not muted, but that's, I suppose that's okay. And a little bit of right down in here, I'm going to get a little permanent rose with cerulean blue mixed with some of that green. I'm introducing some reddish tones down here. Let's get that bluish. This is dark, like, right?
Really dark.
It's really dark.
Yeah.
Can you repeat your colors again?
Permanent rose with cerulean.
Where is it really dark?
This area right in the
Right next to the barn, the white barn there.
But then I'm going to take this color now and I'm going to cut
Into the lavender.
into the lavender. But I got to make sure I don't have too much water in there.
Right.
Cutting down. Get a little bit of ultramarine in there. So now as I paint this, I got to look and say, what is the shape of the lavender? What's the shape of the lavender that I'm getting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, letting that go. Okay. And I'm going to use this dark green to just go along the edge of the barn because that edge it's a darker green than I have here. And that's where I stop.
Okay.
All right, good. And no sense in putting in those little bushes up on the hill because the hill's so watery right now, it would be a mess.
No,
They would bleed all over the place,
Yeah.
right?
totally.
So that's a lot of green.
Yep.
Do.
This hillside, it's strange that it's dark because it's farther away.
Well, it's got trees on
Well,
it, you know, and this is a pasture.
Oh,
So
you didn't paint that, did you?
I haven't painted it yet, no.
Okay.
Yeah, hear the yet part?
dry before I can paint up against it, right?
Oh, right.
And you said you go around the telephone poles.
I have. You could paint right through the telephone poles and then come back and lift them out, or
I'm using Chinese white.
throw the Chinese white on there. Sure.
I can't, there's just no way I could do that. At least I don't want to.
Really?
I'm not in the mood to do that today.
It's not, you can't do it, it's just not in the mood for it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think it's, add more yellow to it. Thank you for showing me that there's a different type of, you can make new gambos. I love that color.
Yeah.
It makes really interesting green.
And it's
Especially when you mix it with,
and it looks
any of the
so
blues.
mustardy
Yeah,
there,
I
but
know.
when you put it on the paper,
It's not.
beautiful
It's
yellow.
Yeah, no, I
Right?
know. Yeah, totally.
That's why we use it.
the dog poop yellow?
No,
Yeah.
that's the raw
On the
sienna.
baby poop.
The baby poo yellow is the raw sienna.
Oh God, that's funny, baby poop. That's funny.
Ugh. All right, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna go back and work on the foreground a little bit. I'm gonna get into this, get this bush dropped in here. I'm gonna get a few darks. This was just the first shot down here, but I want to drop in a few darks and get a little more texture down in this section. So I am going to use, for this bush here, I'm going to use raw sienna, because it is kind of an evergreeny looking thing, I think. And ultramarine blue. And I want the yellow part of this bush to be on the left side, because the sun is coming from the left. So I'm just using my brush to make those flicks. And then as I get over onto this side of the bush, more ultramarine. And maybe I add a little bit of red into, I always like adding red into a dark green, add some red into it.
You're bushing?
Yep, and now this bush is now cutting down, and it creates a shadow below it that will.
Yeah.
It's getting a little dark. I'm going to use this to negative paint around that lavender. I'm going to go right down that green stuff I have no affection for.
So could you repeat the green that you're mixing for the bush?
It was raw sienna and ultramarine.
Ultramarine?
Yep. Okay, so I have a little bit of there's that. So I'm cutting in to the lavender down here. What does this say? Uh-oh. Low power. Oh dear. There we go. Okay, there's that. Now we got a little bit of new gamboge and ultramarine for some of the greens. And down in here, again, when it goes down, it's cutting into the lavender. And when it goes this way, it's becoming, ooh. Ooh, wow. The top part is cutting up into that yellow. Yet the bottom part is creating come on.
He's doing the bushes.
Okay, creating a little bit of action there. Too much. Now this green down here needs a little more action here. The green down here is very flat, so I'm creating a little bit of and same over here. Okay, and maybe I give a little bit of dry brush in here. Like Bill, you like that? Here's the dry brush in there.
I'm a firm believer in dry brush.
You know, dry brush scrub. So just creating a little bit of action in the foreground. The foregrounds are really, really tough to pull off.
Wait, in this picture or all pictures?
In all pictures.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I'm gonna let that sit up. I may go back into that purple in a little while, but again, I've just touched touched some darks. Started with that bush and then went into some of the darks in the foreground.
Well, it's cool how you got that area to look like factory green.
Yeah. Wow, God, my water is pretty gross.
Yeah, don't drink it.
Yeah. Yeah, that bush got nice and dark, didn't it?
Bless you.
That's-
last thing you did, Ned. Just don't laugh at it.
Good luck on
I,
that.
I, I just I did a little bit of dry brush down in the lower left maybe or
Okay.
something.
What's in there with what did you eat for breakfast the other day? Do we still have anything else on this?
What's that?
Do we still have anything else going on in this?
Mhm.
Yeah, I just fussed around with the foreground. I guess that left it at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure that there's a good cause and effect for fussing.
Not in my case. Oh.
Step away from the brush.
All right, I'm going to move into the distant hillsides, and then some of the darks around these barns, and maybe a few bits of the bushes that are up in the hillsides here. So, the very distant hillside, I'm going to.
Don't that's dark tree behind one of those barns.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Or you decided to get rid of it because you were just like so in love with that hill.
No, I'll get it in there. Okay, so I'm using a little bit of putting this on here to see whether I like it or not. Okay, a distant. I'm making this lighter than it is in the photograph.
Mhm. Because that's really further away, right? So,
Yeah,
right, so you want that.
but as I told Doug, it's full of trees, so that's why it's darker than the foreground.
Right.
But anyway, nobody who's going to look at my painting is going to know what it was. So now I'm adding a little raw sienna to this, and this has got to be a little bit darker. So this one is going to be a little bit darker. And if it blends a little bit, so be it. I don't worry about that. And this is going to be darker than the hillside. There's that. Okay, now back to the raw sienna, and I am going to drop in this tree that is right above the corner of this roof here. And it's going to cut right up against the roof. It's almost as though there's a second tree there. Maybe I'll make it a second tree. Okay, there's that. And I'll get some other trees in here. Again, it's just a dark color. It doesn't really matter what it is. I got some reds into the green. As I get down, I'm getting a little bit more blue into it. Getting a little bit darker. Going around that post one last time. All right, now I've got these colors. I'm gonna
Going around that post with paint is in there with missing it, with a bumper.
so we see some of these bushes, and they kind of, as they kind of indicate the direction of the hillside here. And I think we get a little bit more green back in there. So I'm just going to strengthen that up behind. Okay, just dropping that in there. Okay, a little bit of dark down the bottom of this bush here. Okay. And now I'm just gonna, I've got these little blobs on the hillside. I'm gonna just take a little bit of water and touch the bottom edges of them and let them kind of blend into the hillside a little bit better with that softened bottom. So just touching water to the bottoms of these little blobs. And they are going at the angle of the hillside. So think of this if you were sledding on that hillside. How cool would that be?
Probably have to wait about 50 years in between each snowstorm, but
Yeah.
it's like New Orleans.
Okay, so I've gone around the two buildings with some darks. Tightened up those edges. A little bit of action up in there. Okay, we're in the closing
Clubhouse turn, folks.
Yeah, we're coming down to the wire here. I'm getting too anxious. Okay, here's the, we're to the dessert course. I'm gonna just take, I look at my lavender and it looks a little flat. It's still the same tone that I first put down, so I'm just gonna go back to the ultramarine and the permanent rose. Maybe a little ultramarine blue. And I'm just gonna
Really make it purple.
I'm just gonna, at the bottom edges, so the top edges look nice and bright. And down here, oops, I picked up some of that. Okay, there we get a little bit of that. Just touch that up a little bit. Now, I'm going to go into the eaves, ultramarine blue and Windsor red. Just right at the edges of these eaves. I'm going to go, whoops. Sharpen that up. I add a little bit of red, makes the darks pop. Putting a line between the two barns there. With a line for the eaves. Come on. And I'll do a few things like, this is the other barn door. Get that barn door down here. And put in a window there. Another window right. And I'm trying not to make the window absolutely like a square block. I'm leaving a little bit of light popping through there. Let's get another line of the eaves there. Another edge there. Okay, now I am going to use Windsor red, a little bit of blue. I'm going to do these posts. By putting red in there, it hopefully makes them stand out a little bit. I'm just leaving a slight tone of light on the right side of it. And maybe a little bit of shadow coming off of it. I'm using the same the telephone poles. I'm going to make this a little bit thicker.
That was red and what?
Raw sienna.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I don't want these whites to be too bright, so just a little hint on there. That one looks a little bit weird. doors, windows, posts, raw ceiling, telephone poles, lines, lines in the roof. You get a few lines in the roof here. Then there's that line of tin. Make sure you stay parallel to the lines of that roof. And then this roof over here had more cerulean in it, so I'm gonna,
Because then there was cake decorating.
right? And you don't want to feel like you have to do all of them. That gets kind of tedious. But it's enough to hint at the texture of those roofs. Do we have
So
any?
did Andy at least come in and get Ellen's coffee?
I didn't see him this morning. I looked occasionally. He usually stops in. I need to get a couple more darks. Perhaps in here. I see a couple of those darks a little bit stronger than,
Moonshine.
yeah. Okay, what else do I need? Oh. Oh. Are we forgetting the... All right, here's a trick. Pay attention, a little bit of a trick. I think this is dry. I've got a mat knife, a blade. So in front of the dark, I scratch that. And then the rest of the line can be there.
Oh, cool.
And we'll send this baby
Wow.
I was doing
up to there. This one up to there. Not doing them? I'll tell you, when I do these, I don't look at my brush. I look at where I'm going, so that I end up at the right spot. These,
How many paintings have you trashed over now?
a lot of paintings you can ruin with a really bad, like this is looking way too white, so I'm gonna go into some green down here, just take it down, kill it a little bit.
Oh, you don't like the way the foam pole's too white?
I think it's too white,
Yeah, okay.
don't you think?
Yeah, right, yeah. So you're
Almost
just
too,
gonna tone it down.
too bright.
I thought mine was so white that it just got.
I mean, I don't mind having little hints of white in it. It just looked kind of like stark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. And it's doing a real estate shot.
What's that?
Abel's doing a real estate illustration.
Okay, I'm bringing,
In other words, everything's perfect.
I'm highlighting, using
I
this
can't
to,
go the other way.
I'm lightening up the side of the,
You mean
Sorry.
being loose?
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm lightening up the side of my pole, those two, so that they, so they stand out. So light is hitting the right side of them, and then there's a dark shadow on the other side. Okay. I think I'm done. Hey, so we got the little technique trick was the razor blade.
Okay, now, you didn't do anything right here,
Well,
in that part of the roof?
no, like verticals or anything.
Yeah, you just
I
left
just
it.
didn't.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, I almost don't. I'm not sure I like it that bright, so I may just take it down a notch. underneath there. I'll leave the white on the edge.
Yeah, but this is very effective, that's right there.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right,
yeah.
it's exactly what you were
Puffs.
saying, what you wanted.
Yep, yep. Well, good, well, thank
All
you.
right. A few things to do when I get
Yeah, thanks to that too.
Yeah, lots of little details on this. This was not I don't think, a tricky drawing,
No.
but with that hillside being so big, that's and then the foreground, I think, is a challenge because you've got just a lot of little stuff going on. You want to hint at it without being too slavish to every branch and all that kind of stuff. But the important thing is to squint.
Do you feel challenged?
When you don't know what you're about, you're not sure where you're about to go. Just squint and say, "Oh, what's going on here?"
Now he tells us.